Am I in the wrong for not letting my parents see our daughter until they fix issues with my spouse? Seeking advice. I, 26F, and my husband, 27M, have been together for 8 years, married for 7. We recently had our first child in December 2024. Just for some background, my husband and parents have not always had the best relationship. It was a bit up and down in the beginning, mainly due to egos and attitudes on both sides. And of course, I've always been in the middle. There was a 1-year period before where they were not on speaking terms due to my mother getting involved in our marital issues. I partly blame myself because I have always been the one to spew my problems off to my mother, and of course it's something that is used against him. When I got pregnant, my parents and husband decided to squash the issues and come together. They want to be a part of our child's life with no animosity surrounding our families. I can say that was the happiest day of my life because overall they get along with my husband, and we would always see them. During my pregnancy, it was wonderful. Both parents and spouse were getting along fantastically. I had a tough pregnancy. My baby was growth restricted, so I was getting seen by a high-risk doctor every week until I have birth. Birth was a bit troubling, as well as I had to get a C-section due to baby's heart dropping. At last, she was here. Everything was magical the first couple of weeks. My MIL agreed to stay with us for a couple of months to help. She lives in Australia, and she is not an overbearing MIL. She is actually a helpful, down-to-earth woman. My parents came to stay for 4 days to help us as well. All was great there. Fast forward to 3 weeks of our baby girl's arrival. My parents ask if they can come Sunday morning. I say of course. Sunday rolls around and it starts getting later and later. Okay, they are busy, I get it. My dad calls me at 3 p.m. to say he will be coming only because something came up and my mom has to spend time with my grandma like an hour away from where we live. Me thinking, well, that's a lot of driving for my dad. They should just come tomorrow when they don't have anything going on. I say just that. He did keep saying it's fine, but I did insist that he not drive so much and restrict his time here with us. He says it's fine. I noticed that same day that my parents' communication to me goes silent. There's no asking about me or my child. No FaceTimes. No text. This goes on for almost a week. I ask what's wrong and they say we're busy with other things. No worries, I let it go. We ask if we can come over for Christmas Eve. They brush me off. I ask to come over for Christmas Day. They say yes, then change plans and say no because they will be busy. Also, we received no Merry Christmas text from them. Finally, I call them and ask straight up, what is the issue? Apparently, me telling him to come the next day instead was a huge issue. He felt as if he was resented and I didn't want him there. It was an hour-and-a-half conversation of everything I did wrong. I honestly felt blinded because I was so oblivious to everything. I kept reassuring him that it was never like that, and to please believe me when I say this. There was no changing his mind in the end. He said he would not be coming over and needed time. This sent me into a spiral. I cried till I couldn't cry anymore in the car, and they could hear how upset I was, but obviously didn't care. I come home and the first person I see is my husband. He asks me what the hell is wrong because I just look like I've cried for hours. I tell him, and he felt so confused and upset. I downplayed it a lot for him BC. I didn't want him to involve himself. We didn't hear from there for another week. I was on speaking terms with them via text, essentially begging them to come see my daughter after the conversation. They did not come until the day before New Year's Eve. And of course they didn't come until like 7 p.m. I must admit, my husband was still a bit upset with all of this, but he was still fine with them coming. I will admit, he was quiet, and just to himself the first 15 to 20 minutes if their arrival, and everyone took notice but just kept going. After that, he came around and was speaking to them. The night ended actually pretty well to where we were talking about going over the next day with our baby girl. Once they left, all hell broke loose. My dad called me the next morning so upset about how we treated them in the beginning. His events were that when my husband greeted him, he shook his hand and didn't look him in the eye. Another thing was the secret Santa gift. He gave my dad dude wipes and organic soaps. He took offense to that. Another thing was that our guest bathroom was locked, which was a total accident since it's my MIL bathroom. That was assumed it was him. The entire night was nitpicked, and in the end my parents said they are done with my husband. They never want to speak or see him ever again. I tell them he was still irritated about the situation. In his eyes he is seeing it like, you upset my wife 3 weeks post-patrum when we should be enjoying this newborn phase. You have her crying for 3 days. So yes, he was not happy, but kept his mouth closed literally till he had some time to read the room. They don't see it from that side. Our conversation ends terribly where I didn't even get to explain my side. They ignore me for over a month. My husband sent a message. I send messages. I call, they go unanswered. No checkups on our daughter either. All we want is to have a conversation to move forward. Fast forward to yesterday. I finally get my dad in the phone and tell him I'm coming over to talk. Just me. Why I thought it would go well. The ideal situation was for them to talk to me first, then talk to my husband and get things squared away. What happened was I went by myself, and it was just him explaining everything that went wrong and how hurt he was. I explained the same thing. It was the hardest month ever for me. Not only did you take it out on me, you took it out on my daughter when this all could have been talked about with a simple conversation. Side note, they ran to our entire family for those 3 weeks to tell them their side of the story and painted the narrative that we are so horrible and not letting them see our daughter. Gist of it all was them saying they want nothing to do with my husband anymore moving forward. They still want to see me and our daughter, but nothing to do with him. I'm just beside myself. I tell them, well, this is his daughter as well. This is our daughter. They say because I birthed her, I should make all the decisions, so there should be no problem bringing her around without him. I felt gaslit to think that was okay, but I'm not okay with that. I want my daughter to grow up to see a family united, not this division. It makes me sick to my stomach just thinking about it. In the end, they say that they are fully prepared to let their granddaughter go because they will never speak to my husband ever again. Not even to just be cordial and have mutual respect. Nothing at all. I told them I can't accept this. Of course, my mother started crying her eyes out, blaming me and calling me soulless. There was lots of that. No middle ground, no comprising. I didn't explicitly say, you can't see her until we fix this and clear the air, but I definitely implied it and left it like that. My husband is in full agreement because we do not want our daughter seeing that clear divide that ostracizes my husband. I don't know what to feel or think. I needed to hear other opinions that aren't family members because they will be biased. Am I justified in making this decision?